We are at one of the premier resorts in all of the Coachella Valley. We're at the beautiful JW Marriott in Palm Desert, California. And we're gonna talk about what exactly our local governments are doing to shut down Airbnbs that are competing with beautiful resorts like this. Catch that and, you know, some crazy shenanigans as usual on this episode of Unbillable. You might not be able to tell from where you're watching this from, but there is a war raging between the hospitality industry and Airbnb. And believe it or not, a facility as beautiful as this is worried about people individually renting out their homes. The reality is the shared economy is a massively growing thing, and maybe it is something for the Marriott to be worried about. So we're gonna talk about on this episode some actions the local cities are taking to put an end to the Airbnbs, or at least maybe slow down their momentum. And then we'll discuss whether we think that's the right approach that they should be taking. Let's be honest. The people that are renting an Airbnb, they don't want this. I mean, they probably don't want this, right? I mean, I've rented an Airbnb before. I know what I'm giving up to take a home instead of a hotel. They're two completely different things. I mean, generally speaking, when I rent an Airbnb, it's because I'm going with a group of friends, and so we all want to stay like in one central location. A hotel doesn't really provide that as they break the rooms up so often, right? So I'm not convinced necessarily that the hotels and the Airbnbs are competing the way they think they are. I mean, when the hotels make villas or otherwise put rooms together like suites, then they definitely are competing. And if you break it down to like people from out of town need a place to sleep and they're choosing between Airbnbs and hotels, then sure, there's absolute competition, that's for sure. But if you look at it like a restaurant industry, people all need to eat food. You don't see Chinese restaurants having legislation put in to stop Italian restaurants from growing and being developed, right? They sort of compete with each other and they assume that there's enough people to eat all the food. And my contention, my personal belief is there's enough people to sleep in all the beds. And more importantly, if the hotel is seeing that Airbnb is hurting their business, then they need to do something to fix it, not necessarily lobby the government to change laws and enforce rules to shut down or quell the dominance or maybe the momentum that Airbnb is currently experiencing. And when I say Airbnb, I don't mean just them. There's VRBO and all kinds of other online vacation rental businesses. My point is the shared economy, people renting out their own homes and allegedly, purportedly taking away businesses from incredible facilities like this. I'm just not convinced. Let me start by saying it's way better to be sitting inside than outside. It is still well over 100 degrees. The humidity is cracking. Anyhow, why is this important? Why is this a big deal? Let's cut to it. This hotel is in Palm Desert. A few miles away is Palm Springs, maybe the city we're most well known for, Palm Springs, California. And in Palm Springs, they've adopted some heavy-handed rules, at least heavy-handed in my opinion, rules to stop the Airbnb industry. Now, let me slow that down a little bit. Their goal isn't to really stop the Airbnb industry as a whole. What their goal is to shut down unlicensed short-term vacation rentals. See, hotels like this one are collecting a bed tax, what they call a TOT tax, transient occupancy tax. But the Airbnb, the local homeowner, isn't always collecting that tax. And so what the government is trying to do is to step in and force those people that are working the shared economy in the vacation rental business to collect that tax. So what happens when they catch you operating your vacation rental without the proper license? Well, they give you a fine. And you know from other episodes, we don't like fines around here. We don't like unnecessarily paying money to the government. And believe it or not, your first offense, whether you know this rule or not, is $5,000 in the city of Palm Springs. A fine for operating an unlicensed short-term vacation rental. First offense, whether you know about the rule or not, $5,000. And that's a hefty fee. And if you think that's a lot, they're not really done there. Like for example, if you're renting on Airbnb, they'll screenshot your Airbnb listing account, go through your reviews, and see over the last couple years how many reviews you have. Based on the number of reviews you have, they'll then apply a transient occupancy tax to those stays, making you owe even more money, sometimes a couple hundred, sometimes a couple $1,000s. Depending on how much you rent your house, those fines can really add up. And don't forget, tack on the first offense, $5,000 on top of those fees. In my experience, I have clients walk in the door with $7,000, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 in fines for a rule they don't even know about and they don't even know they're breaking. For me, this is a conversation about the evolution of business. The way the internet is changing, I think the word everybody's using is disrupting industries, all kinds of industries. Business is evolving. The hotel industry is evolving. There's ways that I think they can compete without necessarily trying to shut down using legislation. Like what if the hotels teamed up and said, if you stay at any hotel, you can use any hotel swimming pool. Or if you stay at any hotel, use your key card and get a discount. It would be a way for the hotels to encourage the use of hotels instead of trying to kind of use the government and the laws to discourage. Of course, this is just my opinion. I want to know what your opinion is. I mean, people pay $400 or so an hour just to talk to me, but for you it's free. Put something in the comments below. Let me know what you think about this war raging between hotels and Airbnbs. And just like that, I've gone from a local to a tourist. If you like this episode, you know what to do. Hit the like button below. If you've got a comment, something to share with me, make sure to comment. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, subscribe. Subscribe. It would mean a lot to us. And with that, we look forward to seeing you. Hopefully you look forward to seeing us on the next episode of Unbillable. Cheers.